and final phase. So here's the plan. I'm gonna put a piece of plywood back here so that I can secure the laundry tub when I bring it forward to the wall. I need something to basically mount it to. I'm gonna use these two pipes right here. These are hot and cold. These go for the hose bips to the laundry machine. I'm gonna use these to cut my hot and cold in as well for my laundry tub. We're gonna connect it to this guy right here, bring the vent above flood level rim, and we're good to go. Let's get to it. So peeps, I start off by preparing the 2x4s we're going to use to mount the laundry tub. Mounting a fixture, as painstaking as it may be, is such an important step for safety. What we have to realize is that our fixtures take on weight and strain because people automatically think they are mounted and sturdy. And we take this for granted all the time. People stand up on bathtubs, they put boxes on water closets, and they sit on vanities. So if the plumber doesn't go through the process of mounting the fixture, then the only thing reinforcing the vanity to be sturdy is our beautiful pipework. So if the vanity comes tumbling down one day, so do the braided supply lines and so does the drainage. By mounting the fixture, although not indestructible, it prolongs the life expectancy of our work under reasonable strain. So what you're going to see me do is use the hammer drill to punch some holes in the cement and the wood, and I use cement screws to mount the 2x4 solid to the wall. Alright, I want to show you something. We had to buy a very special faucet for the primer. This is a laundry faucet, but at the bottom here, as you can see, this is a primer connection. So there's a small little fitting that I have, which I'll show you right now, if I can find it. I'm looking in my pocket, by the way. Oh, snap. Very special fitting right here. Yes, we got it. This fitting that I was able to zoom in on very quickly will actually thread into the faucet itself, and the other side right here, which is a compression side, will compress onto the pipe. Now, I went out and I got tubing that we're going to be putting into the fitting, which goes into the faucet, which will then go into this tube, and I'll shove it as far down into the tube as I can. And every single time somebody activates the faucet, a little bit of water will go through the primer connection and go into the floor drain over there. That's the game plan. That's what I had to run out for. The most important thing right now is let's connect everything to the sink itself. Then we'll level it, then we'll mount it, and that's when we can start working on the pipe work. All right, let's go. So one thing I want to mention very quickly is I once got a comment when I was putting this pipe dope, and I was putting it on a coupling basically that looks kind of like this on a refrigerator line, and it's supposed to dispense potable water for people to drink. And somebody asked me, why am I putting pipe dope on it? Doesn't that contaminate the water? Well, there are some pipe dopes that are toxic, so you definitely don't want to put them on. This pipe dope is called triple thread. I'm not being sponsored by them, but I found this pipe dope and I now go for it because this is a non-toxic pipe dope. So it's a non-seizing industrial grade thread sealant compound for all types of plastic and metal threaded connections. Non-hardening, zero VOC, non-toxic, non-combustible. So because of the non-toxic feature on it, I can put this on potable water essentially. And that's why I typically carry only this pipe dope rather than other pipe dopes out there. Just wanted to clarify that for those of you that have asked the question before in the past. It's a great question. I wanted to sort that out for you. So what you're about to see is one of my favorite ways of connecting a floor drain primer. Only problem is this method does not work on every faucet. It must be a laundry faucet because they are the only faucet that comes with a special primer connection. So if your customer chooses a faucet that's different from a laundry faucet, then you're looking at more mechanical devices that will do priming of the trap for you. Also, remember, the reason why every floor drain requires a floor drain primer is because floor drains don't usually get any attention during the year. So over the decades, plumbers have noticed that in many circumstances, the traps dry up on these floor drains and sewage gas makes its way into the house. So to avoid this danger, floor drains by code require floor drain primers.
So one thing that I forgot to mention is I'm going to be connecting the primer via coupling. This is the coupling I'm going to be using to connect the primer right here, which means I'm going to have a copper pipe come in this side and also one that comes in this side as well. And by copper pipe, I'm talking about the tubing that I'm using. One thing that I gotta mention though is that during an inspection, if you were ever to inspect a primer, one thing that you have to verify is A, that the primer works, but B, that it's also safe from subject to backflow. Backflow is when water moves in the opposite direction of flow, either through back siphonage or back pressure. And what that basically means is I gotta put in one safety mechanism in here, which is gonna cost a little bit of pipe, but it's gonna make sure that we cannot contaminate the faucet with the primed water that's in the trap, because it's possible to actually siphon that water out if the right circumstances come about. So what you're gonna see me do is I'm gonna shove the copper tubing inside this tube. I'm gonna secure it with electrical tape, and I'm gonna run the copper tubing above flood level rim, and I'm gonna loop it up here and bring it back down, and then I'm going to connect it underneath the sink. So basically, by putting that loop in is just kind of a very clever safety mechanism built in that we put in to make sure that that doesn't happen to us, essentially. So you're going to see me shove the tubing inside this tube, and then I'm going to raise it above flood level rim in a loop, and I'm going to bring it down, and by means of this coupling that I was showing you earlier, I'm then going to connect the bottom of the faucet, primer section of the faucet, to the tubing that comes out of this white tube that I just showed you. Just wanted to point that out so you understood. Let's keep going. Alright, let me show you the progress, okay? So, I ended up bringing this up much higher. A lot of the times I cut it short. I cut it right around here and I start shoving the pipe in order to get the pipe further into it. But I found that this is kind of a clean assembly. I can clean it up like so, leave the pipe at its full capacity, and it's fine. I'm gonna bring this down, leave it hanging for now, like so that when we bring the sink in, I can cut it to size and then do the coupling under there. I need this space as well to put in our air admittance valve, so I'm going to still be using this space over here. And we're about to pressurize the system because we got our two R19s in there soldered up, good to go. We're going to pressurize, make sure they hold water, and we're well on our way. Let's go.
So peeps, we're worried about a couple of different scenarios with the floor drain primer. Number one, if the primer can in fact siphon sewage water through the faucet, because remember, it is connected at one point into the drain. Or number two, if the drain backs up to fill the primer all the way up so that when they turn on the faucet, sewage water comes out of it. I know these two sound very similar, and they are similar in a lot of respects, but it is two different manifestations of the horror of cross-contamination, meaning drain water getting into our potable water. So by adding this loop and making it above flood level rim, we are ensuring that the sewage water will make its way out of the laundry tub before it goes into the faucet. Leveling is probably my least favorite activity when dealing with any fixture, but some things to remember. Many fixtures come with a slope built into them, like bathtubs, vanities, and laundry tubs, but they only function accurately if those said fixtures are totally level. So it is crucial to get this right, or you are going to undo the work that the manufacturer did. Secondly, make sure to use some sort of plastic shim or any other material that will not deteriorate under water exposure, or else your shims will become brittle and deteriorate over time.
Okay, I'm running into an issue with constructing the drain only because it's a bit of an awkward situation. I want to show you where we're at. So if you take a look here, this is our vertical pipe, I should say. I put a clean out in and I faced it this way so that if we ever needed to bring in the K50 or another drain machine, we could always open this up and clean it out if we need. So this is now glued, and this is the position we're in right here. We have our trap,
and we're gonna have a TY, but this TY is gonna sit on this pipe. So what I did was I decided to get a short little nipple. I cut this little nipple out and I put it inside this TY right here. This is not glued. So this end is not glued. This is dry fitted. I just want to find the dimension between here, this part of the fitting, to this part of the fitting right here. And obviously this TY has to be all the way up to where the trap is. So I'm using this short little nipple here to fabricate this length. The length between this fitting and this fitting right here. So I, first of all, measured from here to the floor. This fitting to the floor gives me about 16¼ inches. And now I have to find out the height of this. So what I'll actually do is I will measure from the ground to the part of the fitting that I'm going to go into, which is right here. Gives me a measurement of approximately 5 7/8. So now what I have to do is I have to do 16¼ minus 5 7/8. So if you do this in your head, what you're going to have to do is convert 16¼ to eighths, so it's going to be 16 2/8. 2/8 cannot subtract 7/8, so I need to borrow from the 16. It's going to give me 15 10/8. 15 10/8 minus 5 7/8 is going to give me 10 3/8. Now, I want you to know I did not do that on the fly right here in front of you. I did this in my head earlier and I took my time. So I don't want you to think I'm much smarter than I am and much quicker and sharper than I am. I'm not. It took me time to figure that out. By the way, I do have a plumbing math course out there. If you want to check the links in the description below. If you want to learn plumbing math from me, 10.5 hours long worth of content. Check it out. Much appreciated if you do help. It helps the channel out quite a bit. Nonetheless, I'm going to cut that. I'm going to cut 10 3/8. And we're going to see how our measurement looks. Let's go. So now that we're here, we can actually find out the length of the pipe which goes between the P-trap and the TY, which was the whole point of this entire exercise, okay? I wanted to get it to this point so I could just bring a tape measure across and measure, looking approximately 7.5 even. Let's try that. All right, let me show you dry fitted. 7.5. It's looking good. So I glued both ends of this. I'm gonna go in there and I'm basically gonna glue this bottom portion right here. That's the game plan. So now I'm gonna glue the P-trap. My GoPro died, so I just gotta do it this way for you. Sorry, peeps. And just like that, peeps, we are done many whole days of plumbing. Do me a favor, let me know down in the comments below if you like seeing these larger jobs come to fruition in one video, or if you think multiple phases will be better. Is it better to break each phase into one video itself? I'm just curious because these are very long videos to edit, and I just want to make sure you're getting the best bang for your buck. Maybe it's better to put them in, bite-sized versions rather than this large, massive video that you got right here. As you saw, versatility is the name of the game. You got to be good at braking. You got to be good at roughing in undergrounds. You got to be good at also engineering the undergrounds. You got to know what sizes to introduce. You got to know how to put in the primer. You got to know which materials to be using, how to transition between different materials, etc. A lot of really juicy stuff. I got to be honest with you, I'm gassed. A couple of these jobs came in at the same time, and you'll be seeing these jobs subsequently at some point on the channel. I did probably 2 to 3 days of braking this week, which is quite a lot of intensive labor put in. But so today is Saturday. That's when I finished this job, and that's only because I was so tired yesterday that I didn't have the juice to finish everything I needed to. But I'm glad it's done. Glad it's over with, and I'm glad you guys got to be along with the process. Peeps, do me a favor, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below and that bell notification so you know exactly when we're getting videos. Smash that thumbs up button. Share with friends if you know friends that like plumbing, and I'll see you plumbers very soon. Kenny Molotov, guys. Peace, baby.